Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm back again with another really interesting coding interview question video. And this question is question number 2582, pass the pillow. So basically guys, you can see that in this problem statement there are n people standing in a line labeled from 1 to n. Okay, so it's like if n is 4, then people are standing from 1 to 4th position, and basically there is a pillow passing that is happening. So the first person passes the pillow to the second person, second passes to third passes to fourth, and when the pillow reaches the last person, that is n is equal to 4 in this case, they start passing the pillow in the backward direction. So now the nth person passes to the n minus 1th person, that is 3, and then n minus 1th person passes to n minus 2, n minus 2th person, and so on and so forth. Okay, and we do this until we actually run out of time. So basically guys, you can see that the time taken to pass from first person to second person, or between any two person, that pass time takes 1 second, and we have given a time in seconds here. What we have to actually return, that once this time is completed, which index is actually holding the pillow. Okay, so we have to return the index of the person who is holding the pillow. Okay, let's take this example guys. You can see that there are 4 people and we have got 5 seconds. So we pass from first to second person, second to third person, third to fourth person, and finally we are at the end of the line. So now we have to pass back. We still have 2 seconds left because in 3 seconds we passed from first to fourth person. So the fourth passes to third passes to 2, and then finally we can return output as 2 because this is the index of the person holding the pillow. Okay, so this is one case when the time is actually higher than the number of people, so we had to go backwards, or we had to go in a cycle back again. But in this example you can see that because the time is lesser than the number of people, you don't have to pass the below backwards. Okay, you just pass it from first to second, second to third, and third is actually the index of the person who is holding the pillow. So it makes it pretty straightforward guys, that when time is lesser than n, basically it's easier to calculate, but when time is greater than time is greater than the number of people, you have to go backwards. Okay, constraints are pretty straightforward. Then the number of people are going from 2 to 1000, time goes from 1 to 1000. Okay, so now guys, let's jump to the solution part of it. Now one pretty brute force solution that you can think when you come across this problem is that you will see something like this, right? So basically you can see that the pillow is being passed from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 2 to 4, 4 to 3, and all these things, right? So basically you might think that this is a loop, right? You're basically looping over it. So it's kind of like this, right? That you are looping from 1 to n, okay, and you are doing this loop until your time runs out. So for example, you are doing this loop from 1 to time, where and where you are incrementing time by whenever you complete this inner loop. So whenever I complete this whole 1 to 4 pass, I actually increment the time by time plus I actually increment the time by n minus 1, because you can see that once I complete the full n loop, I actually have got n minus 1 passes, or n minus 1 seconds have been passed. So basically you are looping from 1 to time until 1, until the value of the time, and then you are incrementing increment. Let's say we are using I as an index. Okay, so for I 1 to time, I becomes equals to I plus n minus 1, and then when you are looping through time, in the inner loop you are actually looping j, another index, from 1 to n. Okay, so for example, you are always looping from here to here until your time runs out, and then when n becomes equals to the last person, then you basically start going you start going backwards, right? So basically if let's say if I'm just doing it brute force, you can just say that once this for loop is completed, so once this for loop is completed, you can start going backwards. So let's say if I is actually even, okay, so I is even, then you will go from 1 to n, and when I is odd, then you will loop from n to 1, okay, and then in this if else condition you can just do the looping for loop. Now this might be a little bit difficult for you to understand because I am actually not writing the code for it, but just imagine it in this way, that you are actually trying to programmatically code from nth person, from first person to the nth person, and then programmatically going back from nth person to the first person until your time actually runs out, and then wherever your index is, you are actually returning that index, right? I'm not going to write the code for this, guys, because it actually is not a good approach for this particular question. The best approach is to actually understand the problem statement and do it in a mathematical manner. Now obviously, guys, you can also see the complexity problem in it, because you can see that because we are doing a loop, and we are doing a loop over time, you can see that the number of full passes, let's say if my time is 5, how many times I am doing the full pass. So I am doing the full pass one time in this case, but obviously I might have to do the full pass multiple times. So the time complexity actually becomes equals to order of n, which is the number of people, into the full passes. So basically the number of times you are fully passing the n number of people, that is the number of time you are that is the number of time you are actually increasing this time complexity by. Okay, so this is definitely not a good approach, and there is a really good approach to solve this problem. So let's just jump into that. So the approach which I am going to talk about actually goes into the problem statement and its constraints and tries to find out a mathematical solution for this. First of all, guys, you always have to pay attention to the examples. Now you can see that there is a striking thing here, that if the time is lesser than the number of people, so there are two conditions, right? So if the amount of seconds is actually lesser than the number of people, then the answer is very straightforward, that you just have to return time plus 1. Because what you are going to do, if time is 2, that means you can do only 2 passes. So that means you can pass from first person to the second person to the third person. And what is 3? That is the value of time plus 1. Okay, so if you are doing time number of passes, eventually your ball will be at the hand of person at index time plus 1. Okay, because you with n number of people, you can maximum do n minus 1 passes to complete a cycle. Okay, and with time number of seconds, you can maximum go up to time plus 1th second of 1th index of person. Okay, so the first condition is pretty straightforward. Now you have sorted it, right? The problem is this second condition. So let's take this condition separately first of all. Now you can see that what we have is a time value which is higher than the number of people. That means there is bound to be multiple cycles of passing. So multiple times the ball will be passed in the forward direction, and it also will be passed in the backward direction. So the first thing is we have to calculate the number of times the ball is going to be passed full direction, like the full n people will be covered. And let's say, so let's take this the else condition in which time is greater than or equals to n. So let me create this variable called as cycles, right? So how many times a full cycle will be covered with time number of seconds? That is pretty straightforward, guys, because in case of n people, the maximum amount of passes that can go from first to the nth person is going to be n minus 1, right? And because we have got this time, the number of cycles that's going to happen is going to be time divided by n minus 1. So that is going to be the number of times the ball has to be passed 1 to n and n to 1. Then 1 to n and then n to 1. That is the number of times the ball is going to be passed. But this is not what we are looking for, right? What we are looking for is the index of the person the final ball will actually stop at. So how can we find that? Now guys, it's pretty straightforward that if we can get a mod of time with the number of passes, okay, so this is the total number of passes. N minus 1 is the total number of passes that you can do in one cycle. And if I mod the time with this total number of passes in the cycle, I am actually going to be left with the passes that only went a certain way through. Okay, I am eventually going to be having a variable with the final passes that are left. Okay, so we can say the passes which are left. So these passes which are left are the passes that will happen in the either in the last cycle. So after the last full cycle is completed, these are the passes that are left. So for example, in this case, there is going to be only one cycle, right? Because n is equals to 4. But these two passes, so this pass and this pass, will actually be part of the passes that are left. Okay. And now you can see that these left passes, they can happen either in the forward direction or they can also happen in the backward direction. So what we have to figure out is that the passes which are now left after the cycles of passes are completed, the passes which are left in the last, the last ever cycle, are they going to be in the forward direction or they are going to be in the backward direction? Now how can we figure that? Now for that we need this cycles variable. So guys, if the total number of cycles is actually even, okay, so for example you can see that in this case we have got a cycle that was odd, right? Because we only got one cycle, one full cycle here. So this cycle was odd. But let's say if this was even, so if we had passed from 1 to 4 and then we have also passed back from 4 to 1, then it would have been the even number of total cycles. So if there is an even number of cycles, then it means that the passes which are left are now going to be in forward direction. Okay, because we are already at the first person now. So now the passes are going to be in the forward direction. But if the number of cycles are odd, which is in this case it is, right? So the number of full cycles are odd because it's going to be, in this case it's only one cycle. Then the passes now which are left, they are going to be in backward direction. Okay. So if the passes are in forward direction, that is cycles are even, right? If the passes are in forward direction, then it basically means what? That we are just going to return the number of passes plus 1, right? Because they are going to be in the forward direction. So let's say if two passes are left in the forward direction, then one pass will take it from first to second and the second pass will go from second to third. So basically the number of passes left plus 1 is going to be the index of person. However, in the else case, when we know that it is going to be in the backward direction, then it's pretty simple. You just have to return n minus the passes left, because now we are actually going in the backward direction, right? So this is n, so minus the passes which are left, so you will actually go in the backward direction. So if there are two passes left, so 4 will go to 3, 3 will go to 2, so you actually will have this value here. So n minus the passes left, so you will actually come in the backward direction here. Okay, so in this case guys, this is going to be so in this case guys, we will actually land our variable, that is the index of the person who is actually holding the pillow. Okay, So now I think you are now clear with the solution and the dry run of it. So the only thing that is left is the implementation of this solution. So I'm just going to quickly do that. So the first thing is, guys, that if time is less than n, then you just return time plus 1. Then the number of cycles, guys, is going to be time divided by n minus 1. The number of passes left is going to be a time mod n minus 1. Okay, so the number of passes left. And finally, guys, if the number of cycles are even, that means the last cycle is going to be a forward cycle. So we just return passes left plus 1. This is the index of the person from the forward direction, and in the other case we are just going to return n minus passes left, because that is what we are getting in the backward direction. So let's run this code, guys. Let's see if this works for us. And it passes all our test cases, and in this case you can see that it is going to pass and it is submitted. Okay, so now the time complexity, guys, so you can clearly see that there is no for loop in it. There is only just a simple mathematical formulas. So in only order of one time complexity we have resolved this problem. And if you can see, the space complexity is also order of 1, because we didn't use any extra data structure or anything to actually store the data here. Okay, so there you go, guys. You can see that we were thinking about implementing a loop based solution, which you might think of when you are in an interview. That could be a brute force approach, but if you just pay a little bit attention to the examples that are given, to the description that is given, you can come up with a very optimal mathematical solution as well. So I would highly recommend you to do practice these type of questions. I hope this question was helpful for you. It helped you, and it helped you learn a little bit. If it did help you in any way, guys, then please do not forget to like this video and share this video with your friends. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then please do subscribe and hit the bell icon for future notifications of more such programming and coding videos. If you have any question, comments, suggestions, feedback for me, please do write in the comment section below. I would be really happy to address them. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care and bye bye.